Welcome back to the Soundation. This is Swaythoven, and what we have in front of you is FabFilter Pro G. It is a gate plugin. I'm going to explain that in a second. I believe you can go to the website, get a free trial, and no one explains these things, especially as easy as I believe they should be explained. A lot of people just tell you to like slap them on your song, then you're going to have to pay for a course to be able to understand how this stuff works. I'm excited to learn this stuff as I am trying to increase my music production, break the limits, and I'm trying to share it with you. And like I said, it's a gate plugin. So what does this really do? So before I just explain it real quick, let's focus on the word gate. It's because I've seen that somewhere. I've seen it when making arpeggios. So I've seen it. I'm going to open up this other VST guide. Odin is for how long a note is held out for. Alright, so this case is 50%, and usually, if it's at even higher, like 100 or 200, it kind of like blends in with the next noise. Alright, but in this case, it's when a note is actually going to be cut off. Alright, meaning that you can suppress certain noises, a lot of different things. In what I've experienced, I might be wrong. There's a lot more things that this might be able to do. Is that when it reaches a certain low point of decibelage, whenever that note is starting to decrease, it just cuts it off. So it doesn't have that extraness, because all that extra stuff could eventually muddy up the mix. I could be incorrect, but when we go through this example, we can at least see that that's going to be definitely one thing that it is doing, and it might be able to do a whole lot more. One thing that you can do in order to learn what your plugins can do, if there's a way, is that press the help. I looked at the help topics, and in fact, and I didn't read through it because I was playing with these things before I even knew this was here. It tells you these things, believe it or not, right? But just because you're reading it doesn't mean you know how it's actually going to sound, all right? And that's the most important thing. So there's nothing that I necessarily really learned from here. I might be able to understand what the MIDI learn is. That's I don't have no clue what MIDI learn is or anything like that. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even have a MIDI keyboard, so it doesn't really matter to me. But let's get into an example, all right? Now, just because it'll be easier to follow along, I'm putting this on a kick, all right? And at the same time, I'm using this. I went to beats. I went to the presets. I went to drums, and I went to beats. Okay, I do not remember if I messed with these knobs, but if I did, this is what it looks like right now. And you can basically just follow along because it should have the same effect on your stuff if your samples or your sounds kind of have similar sounding things to it. So I'm going to put the release all the way up, meaning that, hey, I should have read the manual, right? Look at the waveform that the kick makes. We see that after it makes the kick, after it makes the noise, there's a slight slope downwards, meaning that there's more noise being produced at a lower decibelage. So if I had another noise coming in after that, you would hear that slight noise and that other noise. And if there was a lot of other slight noises, it would be muddier, like I just said in the past. So what I did and what I've noticed is I decrease the release, and what that does, and what that did, and what that will do, there's no more of that slope. There's more space to put other noise. We can make it even shorter. Now I'm going to raise the attack. I really didn't do any. Well, I didn't raise the attack. Now we see that it kind of made it more muffled, except for when the drums were towards the end. You hear that? I raised the release up. Let's see what happens. I expected that was going to happen, so we got the decreased decibelage coming in afterwards. But also, it sounds as though we didn't raise the attack as much. It sounds as though we kind of kept it the same from the beginning. And I believe that would be considered some sort of equilibrium. And you might get that effect if you played around enough with in another sort of filter, filters that have high cuts and such. Because there's just equilibrium in music. It's a mix. It all equals 100%. You know what I'm saying? But like I said at the beginning, it suppresses noise. So I'm sitting here just listening. Now, what I'm going to imagine is that it suppresses the noise real quick of like the actual main before it gets to the peak, and then it'll either like play that peak or not play that peak. So if this release was all the way down and like the attack was up, we don't hear anything. Alright, it suppressed everything. There's nothing loud enough that's getting past, except for that kick right there. That was loud enough. I don't know why, but that's that second kick that I was talking about. Maybe it's because it's still taking in some of that sound from the last kick, so it just added on to that. That's something that we could like, that might be an educated guess. But yeah, it's just noise suppression. It's very powerful, and we can automate it, alright? One thing that was different than creating this automation clip, unlike Omnisphere that I've said in my other video, is that Omnisphere did not allow you to create automation clips. You had to enable host automation, then you had to go to your tools, and then you had to go to last tweaked. You can still do the same thing when it comes to this, and hopefully you learned something. The gate filter can be a game changer when it comes to just increasing your sound.